Paul. Today's quick fix is balance. What do you mean by that?
We think of it as the ability to manage your energy across the different parts of your life as they blend together so that you're staying effective without draining yourself. And when I say different parts of your life, I mean there's your work stuff and your non-work stuff. And your non-work stuff is sort of further subdivided, right, into the stuff that you're doing with your family and your friends and on your own and your personal interests and how you develop as a human, all of those things. So it's managing and balancing your energy across all of those different things so that you've got enough energy to apply to all of them.
So isn't that just like work-life balance? It sounds very similar.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. There's the whole work-life balance thing is very interesting. You hear conversations about work-life balance all the time, and you hear a lot of people talking about the fact that, or what they say is like, work-life balance isn't a thing anymore, and there is work-life integration, and that's what we should be thinking about, or it's impractical. And the real reason for that is because historically we've actually defined work-life balance in a quite different way, even though it sounds similar on the surface. The way in which we've traditionally defined work-life balance is the idea that there is this sort of balance with two things on each side of it. For those of you that are not watching the video version of this podcast, I'm gesticulating wildly here to show both sides of the both sides of the balance. But like that, the Libra scales, that kind of thing. And then on one side of it is work, and on the other side of it is life. And somehow you're supposed to keep those two things in balance. And that's the sort of first visual metaphor that people have for this thing. But also, they will... the old school version of this was, it was all related to time. So let's say, for example, you were a 1950s executive and you were coming back from work at 7 o'clock each day. That would mean that your work and life were out of balance, and you would fix it by coming home from work at 6 p.m. every day, right? So it was very, very much traditionally related to time. This new thing, which is actually still balance, right? And balance is probably the best word to describe it. As I say, is not really about that, right? So and nor is the backdrop under which it happens the same,
right?
Because the backdrop in this situation is a world in which work and the rest of our life do constantly bleed into each other, right? People are coming, if they're able to, they're coming away from work to go to pick their kid up from school early or something along those lines, or attending the baseball game or whatever it happens to be. But at the same time, on a Friday night, when they're watching their kid's football game, they're on their phone dealing with work emergencies, right? So the concept of balance, we believe, is still valid. What it represents, namely this idea of balancing energy and balancing energy across a whole bunch of different domains, is different.
So what specifically is making this so hard right now?
Well, we talked about it a little bit when describing it. I mean, one is just work is very different, right? Work is happening.
Is there a headwind?
Yeah, there is. Yeah. So work and life are intertwining with each other, not just in the same place. They're not just intercepting each other in time; they're intercepting each other in space, because we can work from anywhere, so we do work from anywhere. Yeah. And also because in many cases we've got ourselves into a world where hyperresponsiveness is just an expectation.
Yeah.
So it's like you need to hear back. If I don't hear back from you in the next half hour, then I must be slacking off or something along those lines.
Right. Yeah, that's fascinating. So it's almost like it's well, it strikes me that we almost got sold a bill of goods that it's supposed to be balanced. right? It should be
Yeah.
way tipped the other way, but balance is like way more. So it's more about like, yeah. So if you don't really pay attention to your energy in that, and where you're spending time and energy, it's not just time, right? It's the
Yeah.
energy component that really changes it, because we can't do anything about the new world that we're occupied. It's genie's out of the bottle.
And to a certain extent, yeah. I mean, and it's interesting. So one of the things when we first work with people on this, we start with one thing, which is right. There's 168 hours in a week, and that's not going anywhere for a long, long, long time. I think cosmologists say that in about 1,000,000 years we'll have 169 hours, but we ain't got 1,000,000 years to figure out to wait for that, right? So basically we've got 168 hours in a week. That's not going anywhere. You can dip into this thing called sleep, but that doesn't really help, right? And actually it will reduce your energy and make you so that the pool you're pulling from is less in the first place if you're dipping into sleep. So the reality is that all you got left is how you go about manipulating and prioritizing the various things that you do. And the truly hard thing, is that before, that amount of time that we spent on those different things was chosen for us, right? It was chosen by the length of the workday and the length of the breaks and all that kind of stuff. And now we have to make our own decisions, and we have this big cognitive load that we face on us as we're trying to do it. Plus, there's a bunch of emotions in this as well. When I first started interviewing people on this, I found an enormous amount of guilt among people as they were trying to accomplish this thing called balance. Because what happened is that you would have people who would prioritize work more and then feel super guilty about the fact that they were not being there in terms of their presence for their friends and their family and all of that kind of stuff. So then they'd look to rebalance. But then as they looked to rebalance, they're now paying less attention to work. Maybe they're having like managers talking to them about the fact they seem to be less committed.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they're afraid they're going to lose their job. And so they swing back in the other direction. And so there was this constant sort of like feelings of guilt that tend to push us in one direction or another.
Yeah. So you can, like, could someone be too balanced, right?
I don't think it's a good question. I don't think really you can be too balanced, because balance is the
It's not
act of
steady,
sort of
right? It's never steady.
Yeah,
It's always
yeah.
kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I do think it is possible to over protect the non-work stuff, right? Because if you do over protect in that way, you can end up protecting yourself so much that you're never going to have any meaningful work, that because you're not going to have that opportunity. You're going to say no to that stretch project, right? You're going to say no to that thing that allows you to grow, right? So because this is a sort of a thing which is constantly moving, it's really about having the right balance for the moment in time that you're in. So you remember the interview we did with Michele Volpi, for example. He talks about this concept of how much focused energy can you bring to your work at any particular point in time, and there's no right or wrong answer associated with that, but it will be different. It'll be different depending on where you are in your career and what your other things are. So I think it is, you need to constantly look at it and ask yourself the question, is it right for me in terms of where I am in the moment? And if it is, then you'll do really good work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's life balance. Yeah. It's not work-life balance. It's just life.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's just balance, actually, and that's the point, right? That's why we call it balance, not work-life balance.
Yep.
It is just simply balance.
Yeah. All right, so let's give one simple thing someone could do this week to improve their balance.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this, and I think we've talked a lot about audits over the course of the last few episodes, and I think an audit can be helpful. But what I also think is that starting from a point of view of understanding where you feel you are out of balance across the various different aspects of your life, and then checking that against the relationships that you have that are most important to you. So your perception of how in or out of balance you are is likely to be different to the perception of the people that care about you. And that discussion, even though it can be awkward, even though it can be difficult, can be a really, really great starting point for them figuring out how you want to adjust and adapt things.
Yeah.
So I think it's that. I think it's like, yes, do this sort of internal audit, but get that external perspective on how in or out of balance you are at any particular moment.
All right. Perfect. Balance fixed. We did it.
All right.
See you on the next one.
So, yeah, see you next week.